My name's Kenneth Wagner. I'm retired from the military. You seem to have a lot of, I've been reading over your, everyone seems to be really qualified. Our issues with this panel, we're all veterans and we all see the things that are going on with our veterans. I see in here like the gun crime unit, and we all went and fought for this country to protect the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, so that we, for instance, the right to people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And yet in New Orleans, when we had the terrible accident that went there by human nature, by nature, not by anything man did, they took away our people's firearms. I mean, this is, someone should have stepped up, a judge should have stepped up. I want to know if there's anyone on the jury, and you can all go down the line, and just answer this question. If for whatever reason our sheriff decides that there's an emergency here and that he needs to disarm the civilians of Clark County, would you guys sign a stay order stopping that, or do you think that the sheriff has the right to, for instance, take our Second Amendment right away from us? And I'll read it to you. A well-regulated militia be necessary for the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And we're going to start from left to right, if that's all right with everyone. We'll just...
And this is Jim Goobler. Again, I believe that Second Amendment right, as the U.S. Supreme Court recently held in the District of Columbia case, is in fact an individual right. I grew up here, I grew up with guns, I'm a hunter, and it's very simple. It's an individual right. Fortunately, the U.S. Supreme Court case ruled that way. Justice Court most likely wouldn't have jurisdiction to issue a stay order, but if I was in district or court, I certainly would.
Richard Scow. I also would sign an order to stay. Like the Constitution says, it can't be infringed. I have a grandfather who was a prisoner of war in World War II in Germany, and he fought for the freedoms that we enjoy, for the Constitution that we hold dear. So I would definitely support the Constitution and our right to bear arms. There's only limited ways that it can be restricted, and that's when it's in the hands of dangerous people, convicted felons, those with domestic violence convictions, mentally unstable, and that's passed by law, but the right of the people to bear arms cannot be infringed.
Susan Bauckham. My grandfathers, my father, my brother, and my sister all served in the military. I did not. I was away at law school and when my sister went into Desert Storm. But the Second Amendment right is very important, and it's very important to our country and to all of us, not just our veterans. Each of you have given your lives in the service of our country, but it's a very important right that I think that we should all have and maintain. You know, our forefathers put that into the Constitution for a reason, and our U.S. Supreme Court has upheld the decision. And if it was in my capacity to further that and uphold that, if it was a case that came before me, but like has been previously stated, it's not something that would likely come before us in Justice Court. But the Second Amendment right is an absolute right given to all of the people in our country. Thank you. Susan Bauckham.
This is Frank Como. The Second Amendment is a fundamental right, an absolute right, and you cannot infringe upon that. And so if the sheriff were to try to take weapons away from our citizenry, absolutely not would I permit that to occur. I am the one who was the head of the gun crimes unit here in Clark County, and I liaison with the U.S. Attorney's Office along with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And I do believe that there are certain people in our society that should not have handguns, and those are your ex-felons. These are not the individuals that should be possessing handguns, and the statute is also inclusive to include those people who are mentally unstable and those people who are here illegally in the United States. The reason why we have that statute here is if you take the guns away from the right people, the people who are the ex-felons, the wrong people, will never give up their guns, and then you'll have chaos on the streets. Thank you. This is Frank Como.
Good afternoon. My name is Travis Berry, and just to make sure the record's clear, although I practice veterans law, I'm not a veteran. But I have a hypothetical for you, and you can each have a chance to answer it. There's a veteran in a treatment facility in Florida receiving treatment funded by the Veterans Administration. And the VA finds out that there's a fugitive warrant on this veteran and tells the veteran that if he doesn't get that fugitive warrant lifted in 60 days, his eligibility for veterans benefits will be terminated. On behalf of that veteran, a motion to quash that fugitive warrant is filed in your department. And the district attorney is demanding that the veteran return back to this jurisdiction in order to face the penalties for whatever the underlying reason why the warrant was issued, probably a probation violation. Would you quash the warrant?
Absolutely. It seems to me that one item that veterans have definitely earned by serving in the military are, in fact, those benefits, and veterans have needs. And to think that the position of the Veterans Administration would be that they would lose their benefits if it wasn't quashed. Yeah, absolutely. I think both the criminal side of that could be addressed with him out of custody, and meanwhile he would still be getting his veterans benefits. And I apologize, this is Jim Gubler giving that response and ending with that. Thank you.
Richard Scout, there's a number of factors that you look at in justice court when you're determining to set bail, whether to quash a warrant, whether to let somebody out of custody who's been charged, or if a warrant is out for their arrest. Those would include the ties to the community, risk of danger, risk of flight, and all these factors you look at to determine whether or not to release a person from custody, what kind of bail to set. In a situation with somebody receiving medical treatment, it's appropriate to quash a warrant to make sure that person is treated medically appropriately, that their needs are met, and that in this situation that benefits are given so that the person can be healthy. That does come first. And so you do look at all those factors to determine when a person is released from custody, what kind of bail is set, and you look at that in all cases. And in that circumstance, given those limited facts, that's the decision I would make, would be to quash the warrant, that the treatment could be given. Again, Richard Scout.
Susan Backham, I would absolutely quash the warrant. Again, not to be repetitive with what everybody else has said, but a situation where a veteran is in a veteran's home receiving benefits, and they're, trying to bring him back to Nevada or somewhere else on a warrant. It's, in my mind, the veteran is where he needs to be. He's receiving the care that needs to be given to him at this point in time, and that a fugitive warrant should absolutely be quashed. Thank you.